organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, freezing college tuition won't be an idea that's melting away anytime soon. We'll give you an update on where the Board of Regents stand.
And I've got an update for you guys on the pending Teresa Wagner case.
That's all coming your way next. Daily Iowan TV starts now.
I'm Tom Brokaw. For more than 100 years now, the University of Iowa community has been waking up to the Daily Iowan. Today, it's the largest newsroom in eastern Iowa. And now you can see the news every night on Daily Iowan TV and get it anytime worldwide at dailyiowan.com.
Good evening and welcome to your Thursday edition of Daily Iowan TV. I'm Reed Chandler.
And I'm Iowan Simic. The State Board of Regents Chief Academic Officer Diana Gonzalez proposed a new fundraising program for public universities at Thursday's meeting. The program includes requiring the foundations at the 3 region universities to start fundraising campaigns. The regions want the foundations to raise $200 million to support merit-based scholarships for students. The UI alone is asked to raise $58 million. The regions also endorsed plans Thursday to freeze tuition rates for undergraduates next school year. Presidents from the universities want to hold tuition rates as long as lawmakers approve the region's request for a 2.6% state funding increase. The regions are set to vote on the tuition freeze at their next meeting in December.
And last week, we laid out all the details from the start of the Teresa Wagner case 5 years ago to what's going on now. A few years ago, Wagner applied to the UI College of Law and allegedly did not get it for being a conservative. We'll turn to Daily Iowan TV reporter Anna Theodosis in the newsroom for the latest update.
Thanks, Reed. We've been keeping you updated on the Teresa Wagner case, and we've got a few more updates for you. They started the trial October 15th in Davenport. This Monday, they started deliberation in the jury, but it was announced Wednesday that the jury had come to the conclusion that her First Amendment rights were not violated. The judge called a mistrial, meaning the prosecution can pursue the case again, or it can be resolved in some other way like a settlement. Wagner's prosecution told the Associated Press Wednesday, quote, "We'll fight another day. This is not over," end quote. So, Reed, we'll be having to keep you updated as the case goes on, and it can take up to 6 months before we learn anything new. Back to you at the desk.
Wagner is currently a UI employee at the Law School Writing Center.
And still to come on Daily Iowan TV, GOP candidate Mitt Romney made a soaring entrance into Iowa yesterday. We'll tell you where he landed and why he's flying across the nation.
And in sports, need exclusive interviews, analysis, and game previews of everything Hawks Cats? Pregame is coming up. But first, we'll turn to Dora Grote for a look at the weekend weather. Dora, what can we expect for this Halloween weekend?
Well, Reed, it will certainly feel like Halloween this weekend as the chilly weather starts rolling in. So I hope you enjoyed the warm temps earlier this week because it will be the last of the nice weather for a while. Tomorrow morning will start off just above freezing at 33 degrees with the sun shining. The afternoon will only heat up to 46 degrees, and the evening will drop back down to 41 degrees. So you might want to bundle up in those Halloween costumes this weekend. Now let's take a look at the weather for the next few days. On Monday, we'll start off at 47 degrees with the sun in full force, and the rest of the week doesn't look too promising. The temps will remain in the upper 40s with some sunshine. After some abnormally warm temps this week, it looks like the fall weather is finally setting in. That's all for weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Dora. The former Massachusetts governor and GOP nominee for president Mitt Romney was in Cedar Rapids Wednesday evening, just hours after President Obama spoke in Davenport. Election day is fewer than 2 weeks away, and thousands of voters huddled in an airport hangar to hear Romney's speech to the battleground state. We'll turn to DITU reporter Alyssa Bergamini, who was on the scene. Alyssa?
Mitt Romney!
It may have been the sight of the massive jet plane landing or even the sound of his name, but Mitt Romney's dramatic entrance Wednesday night brought the Cedar Rapids crowd to a roar. After supporters waited hours for Romney's appearance at the Eastern Iowa airport, Governor Branstad and Senator Grassley were there to welcome the Republican nominee to the stage. Voting is underway in Iowa, and with just about 13 days until Election Day, the race for the finish line has begun. Governor Mitt Romney is here tonight in Cedar Rapids, speaking to about 2,000 people about why his plan to restore America makes him the best choice for the next president.
If we're elected, we are finally going to get rid of Obamacare, repair our health care system.
Romney also touched on the sensitive subjects, why some families are struggling, the reason for the downturn in our economy, and those college students who are drowning in loans. All these topics leading up to the bigger picture of the growing national debt.
Cut spending, we're going to cap federal spending and finally get us on track to a balanced budget.
Closing Wednesday night's victory rally, Romney made a promising statement. If voters choose to commit to Mitt, he can and will take back America. Reporting from Landmark Aviation in Cedar Rapids, Alyssa Bergamini, Daily Iowan TV.
Governor Romney said President Obama has no proposal to get the economy going, while President Obama says Governor Romney's economic plan does not add up.
The Daily Iowan is taking a look at a wide range of political issues from education to health care this week. Tonight we finish up the 5-part series looking into where the candidates stand on the issues. Daily Iowan TV's Ryan Jones is here in the studio to break down one of the key issues for Latino voters, immigration.
Thanks, Reed. Now, the issue of immigration is not just a dividing issue among the candidates, but also the nation. President Obama and Governor Romney stand strongly on party lines. The president has gained a lot of support recently from the Hispanic community from his presidential directive on parts of the DREAM Act, while Governor Romney and other conservatives are pushing back against giving legal status to young illegal immigrants. President Obama made an executive directive back in June. This changed the status for young illegal immigrants. They no longer have to fear being deported, but you have to meet certain criteria to qualify for this new status. They had to have come to the country before they were 16, have lived here for 5 years, are in school or in the military, and are younger than 30. Governor Romney's stance on the issue has been a little back and forth, but in the second presidential debate, he said he would not grant citizenship to any illegal immigrant, but he would explore a pathway to citizenship for illegal immigrant minors brought to the country by their parents if they serve in the military. Now, for immigration of anyone besides minors, that's where the candidates really take harsh opposing sides. Now, Governor Mitt Romney, he wants to enforce policies of self-deportation.
The basic idea is that we can, through public policy, make life so difficult for illegal immigrants by making it more difficult for them to gain employment, to receive state services, that they will choose returning back to their countries of origin over continuing to live in the United States.
While President Obama takes a much softer stance on immigration.
A package of comprehensive immigration reforms, it involves some form of legalization for individuals who've been in the country for some period of time and who have no criminal records. And it also involves coupling that amnesty with greater enforcement along the border or within the interior in order to try and reduce future waves of illegal immigration into the United States.
Mitt Romney also wants to put in an E-Verify system nationwide for all businesses. The E-Verify system checks the background of all potential workers and Social Security numbers. Governor Romney says that this will ensure that illegal immigrants are not hired. Professor Rocha says Mitt Romney's views are seen by many in the Latino community to be targeting Hispanics. This could account for Mitt Romney's historic low support in the Latino community for a Republican presidential candidate. For full details on the candidates and where they stand on immigration, make sure you check out tomorrow's pages of the Daily Iowan. Now back to you guys.
And aside from the political news, don't miss out on what's happening in Iowa City this Halloween weekend. If you want to make your way to some haunted houses, there are plenty in the area. Friday and Saturday night, the Field of Screams is open from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. on Black Diamond Road. Scream Acres is entertaining guests from 7 to 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday night in Atkins, Iowa, just 15 minutes away from Iowa City. The IMU is also hosting a haunted house in the main ballroom on Saturday at 10 p.m. But that's not the end of the Halloween festivities. Be sure to check out the Masquerade Ball at Old Brick, a dance party at Gabe's, and a Halloween hoedown at the Yacht Club Saturday evening. The Landlocked Film Festival is also coming to Angler Theater and Bijou Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. Be sure to take advantage of these spooktacular weekend events.
The Black and Gold finally got the better of Northwestern last year within the friendly confines of Kinnick Stadium. But with the Hawks on the road in Evanston this weekend, should we expect another close matchup? The Daily Iowan Sports pregame starts now.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Iowan TV Sports pregame show.
An extended show for our viewers today. Josh, why don't you tell us what that means today?
That's right, Lauren. Today's show may be our most in-depth preview of the year. We have multiple previews and analysis from our staff. We welcome Daily Northwestern sports editor Dan Ryan to the program in our weekly 2-minute drill. And of course, our player insider Annie Kospel is back at the Hawkeye practice facility to catch up with this week's pregame cover player, Micah Hyde.
Not to mention, Josh, we have pregame Sam Luwaji in the newsroom to address a number of injuries to the Black and Gold's offensive line and backfield. But as always, we kick off our coverage with a preview from Daily Iowan TV sports reporter Nick Rector.
The Hawkeyes travel to Evanston this weekend to face off with the Wildcats of Northwestern. A win would keep Iowa's Big Ten dreams alive. A loss would almost certainly kill them. Saturday's game will also include a matchup between the two longest tenured head coaches in the Big Ten. The Hawkeyes' Kirk Ferentz has 14 seasons under his belt at Iowa, while Northwestern head coach Pat Fitzgerald is now in his 7th season at the helm of Northwestern. Currently, Northwestern sits at 6-2 and are already bowl eligible. The Hawkeyes, however, haven't earned that luxury just quite yet. And while Iowa is glad to see old Northwestern quarterback Dan Persigon, they'll be facing a different challenge this year against the Wildcats, with dual-threat quarterback Kane Coulter running the offense and sophomore running back Venick Mark looking to rush over 1,000 yards this season over the Hawkeyes. Currently, Venrick leads the Big Ten and ranks 5th nationally in all-purpose yards per game, averaging 183.1. He has posted 5 100-yard games so far this year, tied with Wisconsin's Monty Ball and Ohio State's Braxton Miller for most in the Big Ten. A win at Northwestern would certainly put the Hawkeyes back on track. And with the Wildcats notorious for giving away leads this season, handing late-game wins to both Penn State and Nebraska, it just could happen for Coach Ferentz and his boys this weekend. And with homecoming at Northwestern on Saturday, wouldn't that be sweet? Nick Rector, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
As Nick mentioned, Northwestern are a surprising 6-2 on the year and are already eligible for postseason play.
That doesn't necessarily mean spirits are high in Wildcat country, though, after their Cats, like the Hawks, dropped a huge Big Ten game last Saturday.
That's right, Lauren. After building a 12-point fourth-quarter lead at home against Nebraska, the wheels fell off for Pat Fitzgerald's crew, dropping their 2nd consecutive Big Ten contest.
With that in mind, we bring in Dan Ryan, sports editor of the Daily Northwestern in Evanston. And Dan, how have the Wildcats rebounded from that loss?
They're not going to let Nebraska beat them twice. It's kind of been the mantra, the idea that they're going to, make sure that Nebraska's out of their minds and focus on Iowa. I think, as far as X's and O's, they really need to realize that what they've been doing with Trevor Siemian, Kane Coulter, and the quarterback tandem they've been having hasn't really been working.
And one of our reporters mentioned earlier in the show that the offensive line has changed a little bit this year. Is there a certain strength you can point to?
It's definitely the running game, without a doubt. That's the first thing you got to run to. Venick Mark's having an unbelievable year, especially considering how the passing game hasn't been able to keep any pressure off of him. He's been really kind of carrying the load for the offense. It's no secret that it's what the team relies on, and he's game planning against every week. But he really hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. He's got a little banged up against Nebraska, but he should be fine for this weekend against Iowa. Outside of that, there's really not a whole lot that's been, consistent week in, week out. The defense was definitely there in the first few weeks, but it struggled against Penn State. It did have to struggle second half against Indiana. Certainly was not there fourth quarter against Nebraska. So at the moment, the running game is what I think we can hang our hat on.
Dan, this matchup has been about as difficult as any in the Big Ten to predict over the last few years. Hawks got the better of your Cats last year. Have to ask, who you got?
If you would ask me this at the end of the third quarter against Nebraska, I would have said Northwestern. But I'm going to take Iowa by full score. I'm going to take Iowa 27-20 over the Cats. I just think that that Nebraska loss is, although they say that they can put it behind them, I think it's it's a lot more difficult than just moving on to the homecoming game. I think that that's one that's going to stick with them, and I really think that it will impact their performance now that a lot of their goals for the season have kind of been dashed. So I would say Iowa 27 and U 20.
All right, thank you, Dan. Now that we have perspective from behind enemy lines, let's jump over to the newsroom where our own Ian Martin caught up with football pregame editor Sam Luwaji for his take on this weekend's contest. Ian?
All right, thanks, guys. I'm standing here in the Daily Iowan newsroom with pregame editor Sam Luwaji. And Sam, while a lot of people were debating if the quarterback should be replaced, the offensive line has kind of mandatory replacements with a couple of big injuries after last week.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate for Iowa. You know, the offensive line had been basically the only thing that had been going right on offense for the Hawkeyes, and now, you know, that might be kind of in rough shape too. Left tackle Brandon Scherf broke his leg in the early against Penn State, and then 2 plays later, right guard Andrew Donnell did the same thing. So those guys are both going to be out for the season, which means that they need to find some replacements for them. And Scherf especially had been sort of an unsung hero for the offense. You know, they run left most of the time, or had when he was healthy, and he'd done a great job protecting James Vandenberg's blind side all season. So it was a tough blow for Iowa to lose those two, because that was the strength of their offense. And, you know, now it's a question mark.
And obviously, Iowa's other strong suit on offense all year has been Mark Wiseman. How does 2 starting offensive linemen affect his running game?
You know, obviously the company line from Mark Wiseman was that everyone can do a great job in there, but that really remains to be seen. You know, if Nolan McMillan steps in at left tackle, and if he can approximate the job that Scherf did, then things should go smoothly. But it's, like I said, it's a question mark.
All right, thank you very much, Sam, and make sure you pick up a paper copy of this week's pregame magazine. Great cover story about Iowa's probable #1 NFL prospect and senior cornerback, Micah Hyde. That's all for us here from the Daily Iowan studio. Back to you guys, Lauren and Josh.
All right, thanks, Ian. And well, Josh, we heard Ian mention Micah Hyde. Let's throw it over to our own player insider, Annie Costable, who caught up with the senior defensive back.
Their rushing offense is ranked 3rd in the Big Ten right now. Do you guys anticipate that being a struggle for you?
I mean, like I said, you know, they generate, you know, big holes from spreading out defense and stuff like that. So, you know, obviously, yeah, we're gonna have to work on that. You know, obviously that's gonna be a key aspect of the game is, you know, stopping the run. And also, you know, like you said, the dual threat quarterback that's gonna, you know, he's tough. He's a good quarterback. And they also put in another guy that can throw the ball. So, you know, it's gonna be a huge matchup for us, and I guess it's a huge test to see how we play.
All right, and how is your preparation this week going to change to get ready for Northwestern?
You know, it's obviously going to be the same preparation, you know, watching same amount of tape and stuff like that. But, you know, they do kind of do a lot of no huddle and stuff like that. So, you know, maybe in practice, I haven't talked to the coach yet about practice, but I'm sure he's going to have us, you know, do a lot of no huddle stuff and get lined up and stuff like that. And I mean, we did see some of it last week against Penn State. So, you know, I think we'll be a little bit prepared for it, and we'll be excited to do it.
All right, well, for Micah Hyde, I'm Annie Costable. Back to you guys in the studio.
Well, that's all for us here in pregame.
Don't forget to tune back in this Sunday for in-depth highlights and exclusive interviews from the game.
Go Hawks and beat Northwestern.
Josh and Lauren, thanks for that, and let's hope we can get back on track this weekend.
I know, let's wish our Hawkeyes the best of luck this weekend.
And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Friday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about this weekend's University of Iowa Children's Hospital Kid Captain.
Plus see what happened Thursday in the clash between Johnson County Auditor Tom Slockett and supervisors.
And that's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out on Sunday at the same time or anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching and have a great night.